And common masses need to hear good advice. The Qur'an's term for good advice is al-maw'idha al-hasana. The Qur'an's phrase is al-maw'idha al-hasana. What that means is a good sermon, a good counsel, good advice. Relevant advice. That's one. Number two. In every society there's common people, and then there are, you can call them the leaders of that society. But I don't mean in the political sense only. Leaders in a society are, the better term for them is the intellectual elite. The intellectual elite. These are very intelligent people in society, Muslim or non-Muslim, and they are at the top of their fields, whether their field is finance, or it's government, or it's economics, or it's any sciences or whatever. They're at the top of their fields. They are the pioneers in their fields. Everybody else looks up to them. They are even the trendsetters of that society. They're the analysts of that society. They're the thinkers of that society. They are the think tank, the upper echelon of that society. If you want to invite them to Islam, al-maw'idha al-hasana, good advice, good counsel is not enough. Because these are really smart people, what kind of questions do they ask? Easy ones or hard ones? They ask hard questions. They ask deep questions. And any da'i, somebody like myself, may not be able to answer their questions, because their questions are tough. For example, somebody who is at the highest level of their studies in, let's say, finance, and they're very successful, or somebody people look up to, like somebody like the head of the Federal Reserve, for example. I have an opportunity to talk to him about Islam. He's going to ask me not about Islam, but he's going to say, what does Islam say about the stock market? What does it say about, corporations? What does it say about shareholding? What does it say about antitrust laws? He's going to start talking to me about financial terms, and I'm going to be like, I'm not going to have an answer for it. If he's asking me at a certain level, if I have to give him Islam, I have to give him Islam at what? At his level. At his level. And it's not like that's a bad thing. We're supposed to present Islam at every level. And if people are at different levels, we have to be able to present our deen at different levels, you understand? Now that advanced level of presenting our deen, is that going to benefit everybody? If I start giving a khutbah about, antitrust laws and corporations and, is that going to benefit everybody? No. What did most people need? What did I tell you?
Good advice.
Good advice. Good advice. But then these upper echelon, they need special kinds of dawah. Special kind of wisdom is necessary to deal with them. Okay, now we got two kinds of people. Now let's imagine we're living in a happy time where we realize that our young generation, we have to turn them into what? Da'is. And we realize a good number of them, we have to create an army of men and women that are going to give good advice. And we also have to create at the same time an army of our leaders, our young leaders, that are going to be able to give da'wah at higher levels. They're going to be specialists. And we have that vision, and we start producing these people. If you imagine that starts happening, you know what's going to happen? The society at large they're going to start getting scared. They're going to start getting scared. This is crazy. Some of our really top people are becoming Muslim. This can't be good. Because when really influential people become Muslim, what happens? They don't, it's not just them that become Muslim. Their co-workers say, hey, what's this Islam thing? Tell me about it. And people who look up to them say, he became Muslim. What am I doing? I should become Muslim too. You understand? So it starts having an effect. Now, why would anybody become afraid of Islam anyway? I'm saying that when this happens, when da'wah is being done, common people are appreciating the advice of Islam, really influential people in society are starting to become Muslim. Why would anybody be afraid of Islam anyway? Why would they say this is a threat? Why? That question is very important to ask. Because our deen, it has two goals. In dunya, in this world, the goal of our religion is justice. In the akhirah, in the next life, the goal of our religion is success. What our deen gives us in this world is what?
Justice.
Justice. Justice between man and woman. Justice between the slave of Allah and the master. Justice between business partners. Justice between the government and the people. Justice between, the employers and employees. It's justice across the board. Guess who hates justice? People who take advantage of injustice. Injustice. For example, I'll give you a small example. You know who, if Islam started getting stronger in this country, you know who one of our biggest enemies would be? Budweiser. Honestly. You know why? Because our deen teaches us the injustices that spread because of what evil? وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. The entire casino industry in Las Vegas would hate Islam. Budweiser would hate Islam. The pornography industry would hate Islam. Are these small industries? No, these are multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar industries. We would create some very powerful enemies if we started making Islam a force. If Islam started becoming influential. Do you think they're just going to sit there and wait for us to get stronger and stronger? No. Those that take advantage of injustice, they will produce their own response. They will find their way of stopping this da'wah. And they do many things, and we'll inshallah, at another occasion, I'll talk about what they do to try to destroy or to do the work, undo the work that we're trying to do. By the way, I'm talking about all of this, and how much of this is actually happening right now? How many da'is are we producing? And how many people that can speak at the intellectual level are we producing? Is this really happening right now at the organized level? No, this is all theory right now. We need to know this so we can put our heads together and get to work. Because this ummah has work to do, you know? But anyway, you know what they do? If you reach this level, then what they do is they produce these talkers, very eloquent, very sharp talkers, whose only job is to talk trash about Islam. On the radio, on TV, on every media possible, their job is to show people how evil Islam is, how ugly Islam is, how crazy Islam is. That's all they're going to do. And by the way, we haven't even done our work, but they've already done theirs. We've already got those pit bulls in the media. We've already got those enemies in the media. Right? SubhanAllah, we're falling behind. They're like, they're 3 steps ahead. Like, in case they get further, we should be ready already. You know? And what this does is, it keeps the masses of people not to take the good advice. Because before they hear the good advice, what did they hear about Islam? That it's evil. That Sharia law is going to hurt. Right? You know? That's what they hear first. They don't hear our message first. And that's our fault, actually. If Muslims have been in good number in this country for 2 or 3 decades, our da'wah should have been way further than it is right now. Every household in this country should have known what Islam is. In one way, shape, or form or another. Not from anybody else, from us. They should have known it from us. That's our failure. But it's still not too late. We're still breathing air. Allah has still given us an opportunity to get our act together. You know? So now they produce these arguers, these debaters, these experts on Islam that are going to attack every aspect of our deen. To respond to those fools and to put them in their place, we need to produce a third kind of da'i. There's a kind of da'i that gives general advice, there's a kind of da'i that speaks to the intellectuals, and there's a kind of da'i that specializes in debate. He specializes in the arguments that are made against Islam, and he puts them in their place. He humiliates them, just like they try to humiliate our deen. Fire with fire. That's a special kind of da'i. These are 3 projects of da'wah that we need to work on. But what did I tell you is at the bottom? What's the foundation?
Brotherhood.
Brotherhood. If we truly have brotherhood, we can sit together and think about this stuff. And say, what do we do? There's this young man in our community. There's this young sister in our community. She's teaching at the Sunday school. She's volunteering with the youth program. I think she would be good in this area of da'wah. We need to help her become that. And then she can inspire other young girls to do that. She can become, a carrier of a good message to women across the country. If we're going to really carry da'wah in this country, we have to make da'wah to women. And to really make da'wah to women, who do you need? Women da'iyat. We need them. There's a need for them. If I talk about the benefits of hijab or this or that, they're going to say, you can. Yeah, figures. Right? But if a woman speaks about it, if she stands up and talks to other women about why she's wearing the hijab, why she's a Muslim, why she's not oppressed, why Islam actually may give her freedom. It didn't enslave her, it gave her freedom. Before Islam, she was enslaved. After Islam, she feels free. If she starts talking like that, then you're creating a serious wave in the society. But we're not going to be able to invest in our people unless there's brotherhood first. Now, The final 2 cents I want to share with you. I gave you 3 concerns in dawah. Can you remind me what they were? What's the first area of dawah? General masses. Second area of dawah, the intellectual elite. And third area of dawah, debaters. Specifically debaters. And you know, within each of these layers, within each of these areas of dawah, there are specializations. Like within general masses, we need da'is specifically for teenagers because they got weird problems that a specialist has to deal with. Who's going to talk to teens? I can't talk to teens. People think I can, I can't. I don't know. They're on a different planet at this point as far as I'm concerned. Abdul Rahman can talk to teens, I think. A lot better than I can. But I'm just I'm lost. You know? Not the show, guys, not the show. You know? And then there's the da'wah to men. There's da'wah to women. There's da'wah to families. There's da'wah to parents. There's da'wah to children. There's da'wah to our seniors. There's da'wah to the Christian community. There's da'wah to the Jewish community. There's da'wah to the Hindu community, the Buddhist community, the agnos community, the atheist community. They all need maw'idah hasana. They all need it. They all need good advice. And then when you get to the intellectual level, there are different specializations, and we need specialists in each of these areas. And when it comes to debate, there are people who are debating against Islam from a political point of view. They're debating against Islam from a hadith point of view, from a Quran point of view, from a Sharia point of view, from a social justice point of view. They have these different angles from which they attack Islam. From a historical point of view, they'll attack whether the Quran is the same Quran from the time of the Prophet or not, and they'll make documentaries about it. We need responses from each angle. You know? And mashallah, we have the manpower. We really do. We have the manpower, and we have amazingly talented, intelligent youth that can become resources. They can become, treasures for the ummah. They really can. We have to invest in them. I'll give you just one example of it, and I'll conclude. Some time ago, I met this young guy. Did I tell you about Kevin? Any talk before? I never told you about Kevin? Kevin's a good friend of mine. I met him in Chicago. I was teaching an Arabic class in Chicago. And I met this young brother named Kevin McAdoo, who had become Muslim in college. He went to University of Chicago, philosophy major, wanted to go to law school after that, and he had a 4.0 GPA in philosophy. Okay, and he's originally, I think 2 generations back, they're Spaniards, but he's a white American, you could say. He's Anglo-Saxon, he's a white guy, but he's originally Spanish, from Spain, not Latin America. Okay. So this guy gets a 4.0 GPA in philosophy, hardcore atheist. He used to have a video blog about atheism and how stupid people are that believe in God. That's what his video blog used to be on YouTube. And he had like hundreds of thousands of hits on it. Senior year of college, he became Muslim. Senior year of college, and he became Shia first. He was given dawah to Islam by a Shiite guy in college, and he became Shiite. And he was a Shia for 2 years. And then on his own research, he became Sunni. No Sunni gave him dawah. No Sunni went talk. He just on his own research, he said, no, this is the right way. And he became a Sunni. And then he started another video blog. And that was about how stupid atheists are. Right? And how dumb their arguments are, and how stupid he used to be, and etc. Hundreds of thousands of hits again. And you know what? Atheists leave death threats on their trolls at the bottom of his video. They leave death threats against him. And he says to them, who's the extremist now, huh? Yeah. And you know what he did one time? SubhanAllah, this is amazing what he did. This is kind of controversial what he did, but I thought it was crazy. It was awesome. He put on this you know how the Philistines have this scarf that's black and white, the checkered? He wrapped it around his head. And he's got this black screen behind him, and he's holding a paper, and he's reading something really angrily in English. About how we will not tolerate disbelievers, and we will wipe them out, and blah, 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 blah. It's going off, right? And then he puts it down, and he takes the thing off, and he zooms in on the paper. Part of it was quotes from the Bible, the rest of it's from the KKK. Right? He's just making a point. Like, extremism is everywhere. It's not one religion, it's not one thing. It can take any form. You know? But people that are listening to the first, they're like, oh my God. What's he doing? You know? But he made an amazing point. You know? So, you know, and people like that, and when I met him, he wanted to continue his Islamic studies. So I said, bro, and he found a program in Malaysia actually, a master's degree in Islamic philosophy and ethics, which basically would prepare him to do some real dawah work when he comes back. So, alhamdulillah, he left, and may Allah give him success in his studies. I think he should be back in a couple of years. And he'll be an asset to the entire country, inshallah ta'ala, when he comes back. But you know, there's talent like that. It's just all over the place. If we were really a community, we would spot that talent before they had to look for solutions. We would say, come on, let's go. We'll help you out. This is all of our problems. This is not one person's problem, one person's project. You know, similarly, I think Sheikh Nouman Ali gave the khutbah today over here in Plano. His project in Los Angeles, it's awesome. I've been there. I spoke at their fundraiser almost a year ago. That project is amazing what they're trying to do. And I think it can be replicated all over the country. What he's doing is very intelligent. And one of the things that makes him unique, this brother, is that he was at Deloitte and Touche before. He was like, in the 90s he had a 6-figure salary. If he had stayed in that job, right now he'd have a 7-figure salary. He left it to do this project. Just to do this project. And his philosophy was, we have to come up with a better way of financially managing Islamic projects. And so, if inshallah you'll get an opportunity to speak to him when he comes back, or maybe visit his website and see how it's revolutionary what he's trying to do. None of the fundraising these people do goes towards operational expenses. All of it goes to the capital expense of building. Because they have such a good business plan that they don't have to fundraise to keep the institution going. They don't have to do that. That comes from tuitions and whatever programs they're running. So they don't. Once they're done raising the funds for the building itself, fundraising stops, end. That's their pledge. We're not going to fundraise. That's how rock solid our business plan needs to be. I mean, we need people like that. You know, planners like that can take our community forward. Bottom line though, in this brief conversation I wanted to have with you, I wanted to give you at least some picture of the kinds of areas of da'wah work that are needed. And the kinds of the prerequisites we all have to fulfill, and how we have to become a family, wallahi. You know, we're all brothers in Islam, but people that are living in Plano or are praying at the same masjid and you're coming here for Jumu'ah, you have even more reason to be brothers. You are brothers even by proximity on top of Islam. And you have the opportunity to share salams with each other, fulfill the saying of the Prophet ﷺ, Afshu salam. That makes you even more brothers. And when you're supporting the masjid, you're supporting any cause locally, like even the fresco community here, that makes you even more brothers. That should increase your brotherhood. It shouldn't happen like everywhere else. You know what happens? The bigger the masajid get, the bigger the nastier the arguments get. That happens all over the country. I'm not pointing at any one masjid. It happens all over the country. And the harder people's hearts get, the more apart they get from each other. No. The more we grow, the more our unity should grow. Our brotherhood should grow. Our tolerance should grow. That has to happen because we have a huge project ahead of us. We can't even start thinking about that project if our prerequisites are not met. You know, and Allah is expecting results from us. The clock is ticking. We have to answer Allah for what we did. We are in a better position to do this than most Muslims across the world. There are Muslims in the world that if they say even a little bit about Islam, they are arrested. In Muslim countries, they are arrested. They're taken away. I knew a brother who used to live in New York. He moved to a country which shall not be named. And he went there and he started giving a halaqah after Fajr about the benefits of praying at the masjid. Nothing. He's not talking about toppling any government. He's just talking about just the fada'il of praying Fajr in the masjid. 3 days later, the cops showed up and said, you do this the 4th day, your passport will be revoked, you'll be deported, your assets will be frozen, etc., etc. I was like, what? Why not just salat in the masjid? That's all I said. He's like, yeah, today salat in the masjid, tomorrow you'll go crazy. So, we don't need this. We don't need this here. Allah has given us this gift of free speech that we enjoy in this country. Allah will ask us about it. Allah will ask us about this gift. This gift of the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that is part of the Constitution that we enjoy. Muslims enjoy in this country. How did we, when we pursued our happiness, did we pursue Allah's pleasure at the same time? We're going to have to answer Allah. When we have liberty in this country, did we use that liberty to serve Allah's deen? We will have to answer. You know, those of you who go and take your pledge and become citizens or whatever, you say, oh my God, now I have the freedoms to really serve Allah. Really serve. We don't think that. We think, oh, now it's time to party. You know? Now I can travel, abroad. I can go to England for a vacation or something. But we have to change our mentality. And as an ummah, we have to become people of responsibility. I pray this brief talk was of benefit to you. I know I took way over the time allotted to me, and I apologize for that. Inshallah ta'ala, we will have another opportunity to sit and chat about some other issues. I didn't get to do these ayat at all. Can I just do the ayat end? Just one ayat? Okay. It ties everything together. Ud'u ila sabili rabbik. Call to the way of your master. He didn't say call to Allah. Ila sabili rabbik, the way of your master. In other words, when we call people, we have to let them know this deen will be a struggle. When you go on a road, it's hard. You get tired. It's not just an easy thing you come into Islam. We have to call people to this struggle. How would you call these people? بِالْحِكْمَةِ وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. With wisdom. You know there's a higher elite of society. How do you call them? With wisdom. وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. With good advice. Who do you give good advice to? Common people. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And you debate them in the way that is best. Who is this? The debaters need to respond. These all three in one ayah. All three in one ayah. And he says, إِنَّ رَبَّكَ أَعْلَمُ. هُوَ أَعْلَمُ. Your master, he truly knows best. بِمَنْ ضَلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. About who's been lost or who's misguided from his path. Allah knows. In other words, when you do da'wah, don't expect people to become Muslim. Allah knows who's guided and who's misguided. That's not your job. Your job is to do da'wah. وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُهْتَدِينَ. And he knows who are committed to guidance. You don't worry about that. You just do the calling. You just do the work of da'wah. The results are with Allah. What an amazing way Allah summed the entire philosophy of da'wah together in one ayah. This, by the way, is surah number 16. Those of you who would like to read the passage yourselves, the entire passage is very powerful. Surah number 16, and this is ayah number 165. 165. With that I conclude. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ni wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.